The thing about predator hunting that no one tells you is the trouble of making sure everyone involved is in good standing in terms of ethics and procedure. Because when you become known for this specific role, there will be people that join more with the intent of hoping that if they're there, their skeletons won't ever come out. The other side is people working on busting predators using methods that are unethical at best and inexcusable at worst. This is the short story of Coyote Lovely. While Coyote has been an admin in Senate and I've worked with him before on different cases, some actions of his that don't pass mustard was brought to my full attention by Cass Warfox and members of his server on Monday the 20th of February. Cass wasn't aware of what I did and did not fully know. The key things brought up were Coyote's seeming pattern of getting close to zoos only to drop them when seemingly convenient. Examples of this are people like Zercarlo and Sappho specifically. There's also Coyote following artists on for affinity that have questionable art to say the least. I told Cass that we'd look into it, and I planned on confronting Coyote about it on Saturday. In the group chat we DM'd in, I made the reason clear. I had a physical to pass, and I needed to keep my blood pressure down in order to do this. I made sure to tell the admins in my server what Coyote has been accused of, and that we need to look into it. However, on Wednesday, after a call Coyote had with Cass, where Cass told Coyote I wasn't happy with him, Coyote called me at work, where I couldn't record or pull anything in front of me. Coyote reiterated what he said about Zercarlo, that he wasn't aware of all the things he'd done, and that with Sappho, he was pretending to flirt with her in order to get info on her, allegedly under the belief that a warrant was out for her. However, in the call, when Coyote read me the messages from the victim, it was clear the detective the victim was working with said he was working on a warrant, not that one was issued. How that passed by Coyote is a mystery to me. Actually, it's not, because Coyote is impulsive and apparently has a history of doing chronically stupid things. You see, Coyote came to me on the 7th of January and told me about this baiting of Sappho. In that call, I told Coyote what he was doing was stupid and that he needed to stop immediately. In response, Coyote kept it all up until the end of January. There's more details about all that found in Cass's stream, so I'll link it below. The art follows could be explained perhaps by him liking one non-degenerate piece of art he saw and seeing nothing past that. It's something that's happened to many people before, and that's a fairly reasonable response. But there was also him following a previously outed degenerate named Blumiere on his Instagram that he said he hadn't logged into in over a year. I told Coyote I wanted to have another call at length about this on Saturday. He had already scheduled a stream with Cass to go over this info and a thread made about him on Kiwi Farms. Then came Saturday. Up to this day, Coyote wasn't taking any of this seriously and clowning on people on Twitter. You'd expect that would mean that Coyote was feeling confident about the stream. He said as much after all. But then he canceled his appearance on stream, citing an impromptu dinner with his family as the reason why. No one was happy about this. This is when I was passed some new info from people in Cass's server about Coyote interacting with zoophiles on a service called Telegram. I told Coyote he needs to cancel his plans and be on that stream to defend himself. Cass's stream started, and Cass immediately goes to say that he thinks I knew all about this, and that I hadn't dealt with Coyote properly yet. Keep in mind, the most condemning things about Coyote weren't even out until that day, and I told Cass when I'd be dealing with Coyote. But I don't fault Cass for his skepticism, and in that stream, I told Cass I'd be dealing with Coyote after the stream. Coyote, finishing his dinner in record time, hopped on the stream and proceeded to make a complete mule out of himself. Again, I recommend you go watch it. Afterwards, we had a talk with him in Senate with the admin team. That's this call I'm about to play here. It's about 50-something minutes long. I'm sorry if the audio on Coyote's end is quiet, and be warned there will be yelling. Here it is. Alright, I have some water, so since I am the person who owns this server, I am the person who leads this server, I'm the person that everything eventually falls down to, I suppose I'll go ahead and start.
Well, hold on. Before you start, hold on. I'm going to make this perfectly clear. You have one person, exactly one person in your corner right now, Coyote, and they are not in the server. One person in your fucking corner. I just want to make that plainly obvious to you.
Who are you talking about?
Go ahead, Laya.
Who are you talking about?
The only person who is currently in Coyote's corner is Opal, and that's it.
Yeah, well, that can't really be dealt with right now. And if Opal sees what went on, there and does not address it, that's on her. But she isn't in this server. She is not part of this administration, so that doesn't really matter. What really matters is the fact that, again, I own this server. I run this server. I have some help doing so. But ultimately, what goes on comes down to me. And to a point, it kind of has to. Let's be honest here. It kind of has to. And I'm getting a lot of heat here because I have not dealt with you quite yet the way that needed to be done. So, we're going to do that now, because I told Cass that I was going to do it after I got everything done concerning my physical, my blood pressure, because I couldn't beforehand. Now, Coyote, you and I had a conversation on Wednesday about some of this stuff, but very little of it. And to a point, some of the stuff you said, I can excuse. The nonsense on fur affinity, yeah, definitely a problem. I can see why that's an issue. The bloomy ear stuff, okay, still not cool at all. Like at all. But not only have we gone through the nonsense of Zakalo, and then we had to deal with Sappho, a gay op, which I have to ask real quick before I go any further. How long did the op last, Coyote?
The end of November until the end of January.
So a 3-month op, or 2-month op closer, I suppose. You had a 2-month op on this individual. And you didn't tell me about it until, I think, January. In fact, let me go ahead and double check.
I think it was the end of December.
Let me double check. I want to make sure. So give me a moment, because I don't want to come after you hard and fast unless I have a good reason. So give me a second here. You came to me at the very beginning of January 7th, and told me about the op, because you told me the same day you told me about the SETI and pizza nonsense concerning SETI thinking this is a trans grooming Discord. You told me in that call, and I told you in that call, that's stupid and you shouldn't be doing it. Did you continue that op after I told you that?
Yeah, I did.
You remember how I told you in that call that you shouldn't do it because as a predator hunter, your credibility is important and how this would look? And this is before I found out more of this nonsense. Apparently you guys having actual ooh-woo conversations instead of just basic flirting. And it should not have been me coming to you to tell you how to recover these Discord chat logs when you're being roasted over them. So yeah, Coyote, I'm not happy about a lot of things, but one thing that absolutely 100% needs to be addressed without question is, number one, how this keeps happening. Number two, why you keep taking stupid risks and doing predator hunting that I've never had to do. So here's where I'm going to hit you a little below the belt. Anthony was smarter than that. Anthony never got into stupid zoophile group chats. He certainly didn't pretend to have crushes on any of these. Go ahead.
I never got in a group chat. If you look at those chat logs, you can see right then and there, in that fucking conversation was between me and one singular human being. I never put myself in a group chat. I don't know who spread that narrative, but that's a lie. I put the chat logs right there in the moderation chat. You can see them plain as day.
Let me go double check then, because I'm very curious.
That's between me and one human being. And I can even get you fucking screenshots directly off of my Telegram because I didn't wipe the logs. Whoever's saying that was in a chat, that's false.
One moment. I've got to go back there because more than what you posted was posted in Cass's server. So let's see here. Where did I put? Holy crap, Peaches is right. We need to move this around more so it's easier to look at, because now I can't even find the mod chat. Oh, there it is. No, that's server archive. Staff rooms. I collapsed it. There we go. So, the chat logs on the Google Doc. Let's find out. Who is Mike the dog?
Mike the dog was somebody who was supposed to be working for something stupid called the Double Shield Initiative, which apparently was supposed to be some stupid Zoophiles against Zoo sadist thing. I was told about it, and since I didn't have time to fully look into this, and the chat that I was looking at, because somebody sent me information, chat logs specifically, had those two shields on it, you know, I decided, fuck it, kick it over to these people.
So you kick a Zoo sadist over to a Zoophile?
Not entirely. I had a conversation, and when they did nothing, I
Coyote,
just leave it there.
Whether they did nothing or not is not the point. You kick a Zoophile over to a Zoo sadist over to a Zoophile. Satan can't cast out Satan, Coyote. What were you thinking? This is the problem. You can't get close to these people. What were you thinking?
I was thinking that the person who told me about this at the time was my friend, and I trusted them. There you go.
Coyote,
it's Zerkalo who told me.
Yes, I'm sure Zerkalo is the source of a lot of really stupid decision-making, but Coyote, even detracting Zerkalo from this, how can you be that foolish? I've had friends tell me to do stupid things before, too. I've had family members I have loved tell me to do stupid things before. I didn't do it. Holy crap.
I wish I could tell you, but this is a decision that was made a year ago, and I don't know what my fucking headspace, what my decision making was a year ago. Clearly, I'm not even a fucking good at making these decisions now. So, I mean, I don't know what I'm supposed to say at that point, except I was made a really fucking dumb error.
Coyote,
Another one.
there's only so
up to the many of them that I've made.
Coyote, if Anthony was in this position, you wouldn't be that generous. Because you know what? You know what? Cass was right about at least one thing, barring perhaps everything else. Let's assume he was wrong about everything else. I'm not saying he was, but let's assume he was. He's right. We roasted Anthony over less. And I think we were justified in doing so, and we're certainly justified in doing it to you right now. Because not only did you pull this stunt, you did it without telling anybody! So now when you're getting outed for this, it makes the entire server look terrible. Makes the entire server look terrible. And this is the problem I always have with people who run around and do stupid crap while they're in administration. I hate to tell you this, the buck doesn't stop at you. It has to stop at me. And I have my personal information out there. My name, my address, my family, all that. By decision, yes. Never hid any of it. But that means this can come back to my doorstep too, as it can come back to your doorstep. And you didn't even think about it.
I didn't think that it would come back on anyone but myself if things went bad.
Coyote, you
And
cannot be that foolish.
I understand in hindsight I should have thought about that. I didn't think. First off, I didn't think. Second, I didn't think that even if all of this got put out wherever, that this would somehow reflect on Senate. That didn't make sense to me at the time.
Coyote, how does that not make sense to you at the time when we've dealt with stuff like this before? We have dealt with stuff like this before. We dealt with it with Vita, with his erroneous actions, which, granted, none of us knew about. Not until D-Day. None of us knew. But you see how this reflects, because you came to defense of me against Junkman, which, again, still appreciate, but you know how it can reflect on things. I think the truth of the matter is you didn't think anybody'd find out. And this is the biggest problem I have. With people who do this like you, or other people who have me in their corner, none of you clowns ever come to me when it's time to have a serious conversation about this. You always wait until you screw up to come to me afterwards. And part of me wants to think that's because you know how I'm going to respond, and you know I'm going to tell you that's not okay, and that you shouldn't do it, but you got to do it, don't you? I understand wanting to get justice for a victim. Trust me, if anyone here does, it's me. But you do not get justice for people by sullying yourself and being in the back pocket of other degenerates. And that's what those people are. You can think zoophiles could get in a group and perhaps get help. That's not reality. They want help, they can go elsewhere. They don't get in stupid little communities, in insular things, where they feed into their paranoias back and forth, or paraphilias back and forth. That isn't healthy, that doesn't work, that doesn't fix anything. And then you sit there and have the temerity to pass on zoo sadist off to these same people. And then at the base level could be considered troll shielding. At the highest level, what are they going to do? We're going to get rid of these people because it makes us real zoophiles, look bad because they're abusing animals and we're not. Are you kidding me? This isn't just stupid. This is, and you know what, I can't even say anything other than stupid.
You know, I know the word you're thinking, you don't have to say it.
It's asinine. It's inexcusable. And then on top of all of that, you have the temerity to first and foremost not even want to get on that stream later on, not even recognizing what this could do to you. When you and I have a conversation, you make excuses for why you can't do it, only to then show up 30 minutes after the stream gets into. After, by the way, we've been dragged into this nonsense. After I have people sitting there looking at me sideways because of your actions, thinking I knew. If I had known, I would have tossed you out earlier. But even after all of that, you sit in a call on that stream with somebody you had apparently wronged, and I didn't know the full extent of everything. Because here's the truth of the matter when it comes to Fursky Doodle. Fursky Doodle is in the same situation you could say that Opal was at one point. Fursky needed help. Did you file the report? Yeah, probably. I don't have anything to say that you didn't, other than the fact that it does not exist in any sort of record database. That could be caused by anything. A hiccup on the internet, database deletion, because I've had to deal with that sometimes too in my regular work day. I understand that may not work. Or maybe something wasn't filled out right and the cops just trashed it. I don't know. But I can't also get you to prove a negative. But bare minimum, Coyote, Bare minimum. You don't sit there and talk trash to somebody you tried to help, somebody you recognize as a victim, and you insult them and tell them you don't care. When I had to deal with outing Vita after what he did to Jazz, because that was the first victim we knew about. Jazz previously, matter of fact, earlier that year, months before, just a few, tried to get a legit hacker against my wife and I after we dealt with the Zoophile police. And you know what I did with Jazz when Jazz came to us and told us about what Vita did? I didn't say, well, you tried to harm my family, you can piss off. No, I said, all right, let's do this. How do we protect you and how can we help? And Jazz has not spoken to me after blaming me, well, except for one time when I asked her a question, after blaming me for a suicide attempt. And you know what? Even if she came to me today, and said, I need help, I'm dealing with a predator, regardless of what she's done to me, I would help her. The way you showed in that stream just tells us that whether or not you care about a victim is only predicated on whether or not they're nice to you. You're right, you do need out of this. That is abhorrent, egregious, unacceptable on every level. Everything you have done here is unacceptable and reflects on everybody. Go ahead.
I want to state for just a moment, the only reason I was getting mad at Fursky and insulting her was because of the way I was currently being treated. The fact that she was a victim had nothing to do with that register.
That's not the point that you said.
No,
that is not what you said. You said that
what
they
I
were
had
less
said
of a
on stream
victim than other people.
What I had said on stream is that she just happened to be a victim, and that wasn't why I was insulting her. I was insulting her because I don't like her.
You said that they were a lesser victim than other people because you fucking dislike them, you piece of shit.
That's literally not what I fucking said. What I said is that I had to pick between two different people. One person who had a safety net being Fursky, one who had no safety net. I picked the one with no safety net.
Oh
Wait,
yeah,
wait,
and you
I'm
said
sorry.
that, and you said that because you were completely unbiased and not because you were pissing your pants on a fucking stream that you had to go onto because you fucked up over and over again.
And on top of that,
Should I not have fucking picked that? Should I not have picked the victim with no fucking safety net?
Hold on,
so you
hold
just
on.
sit there
Stop.
stream and-
Stop. It's not an either or, Coyote. You are not so doggone busy that you could not have sat there and helped her as well as other people. I know because I am busy. 60 hours a week, a family to take care of, a secondary job, all of that, and I still help people, more than one person, at any given time. What's your excuse? I'd love to hear it. Because even at the beginning of the doggone year, you tried...
Lio. That's my excuse. I'm not a fucking cop.
Then
It's
why
not my
do you make these
obligation.
promises?
Not a cop.
You promised them that you'd help. And then you
I
sat there and
promised I would
said, well,
file a
I've got no
report. I
obligation.
kept that fucking promise. But other than that, I'm not a fucking cop, and it's not my job.
No, well, you said on the stream to a load of people who believe that you didn't even file the report, and you said, "Well, if I didn't, I don't have an obligation to because I dislike you."
You know what?
essentially."
I predicated as even if I didn't, even if your assertion is the truth, it doesn't matter because I do not have an obligation because I'm not a fucking police officer.
That's not...
That was predicated as an if.
That doesn't even make any sense because, Coyote, what I just lined out to you was the difference in the ability to manage time. I'm able to help multiple people while working a full-time job. You said you couldn't juggle two people at once, essentially. So you chose the one person who didn't have any backing. Coyote.
That is true.
Whenever...
No, hold on.
Go ahead.
That is true. And the thing is, the promise that was made, the direct promise, I will file a report, and I kept that fucking promise. But at the end of the day, beyond that, because I made that promise, but I should have done that, and I did do that. But beyond that, I have no obligations beyond it. I'm not a fucking cop. This isn't my fucking responsibility.
You couldn't even check
stop
on her?
making promises.
Stop making promises? Why? I fucking filed the report I promised to make.
No, Coyote. You couldn't even have checked on her?
I checked on her verbally in voice chats. Cass was in one of them when she had asked after it had been a week, and I said it could take longer. As you know, that's why I stated, because of the fucking tip form that I've used. It can take up to a month to use that, and I know that because that's how long it took me to get a response from the previous thing. So I told her, I understand it's been a week. It might take longer to hear back if we do. It's possible we won't hear back.
That does not jive with your statement of you are going to choose the person with no support over the person with support. That is part of the problem, Coyote. You can sit there and say, if you had sat there and said, well, I thought I did everything I could. I really do. We'd have a different conversation right now, but that's not what you actually said. And you can't even contest that because I quoted you verbatim. That's not what you said. And now it's, well, I'm not a cop. I'm not either, Coyote. All right, I'm not either.
That's great. Then you're a better man than I am.
It's not about being better men.
I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to say at that point, though. Like, what do you want me to say? What do you want me to say?
I want to know.
You tell me.
I want to know why, in one instance, you say you've done everything you could, and the other instance, you say you had to choose between two people, and you chose the person who didn't have it, as though you needed to make that choice. The point is, you didn't, Coyote. That's what I want you to understand. You didn't have to make that choice.
I didn't say I needed to. I said I did.
I
said I did make that choice.
Why? Because you didn't need to.
Because the obligation I had to Fursky was already fulfilled. The way that I saw it, if the cops were going to handle it, they were gonna fucking handle it. If they weren't, they fucking weren't. And not only that, the fucking video that they gave me, there wasn't a lot I could do besides that. Because the fucking video contained admission from the person she had asked before me that that person went ahead and doxed the person that she was fucking going against. What am I supposed to do at that point with that being my only evidence?
What you do is you sit in a call and you walk her through how to make a police report to her local precinct. As I have done with multiple people. And not all of them do it. What's his name? Grizzly the Medic's probably still walking free because his victim refused to. That's what you do, Coyote. Because you know what? You'll travel with Monstrous all the way to Opal's house to pick her up and show her how to do a police report at a precinct. You already did it once. So that's what you do. Hello?
And you didn't do that. I did. I sat there and I did it with Opal.
I didn't say I did that.
Well, then I apologize for that misnomer, but the point is, the example was given to you.
Yeah, hold on. I actually want to clarify. I actually never once claimed that I did that. I did not.
I accept that. I apologize for making that statement. But the point is, Coyote, if somebody changes a tire in front of you, and you need to know how to change tires and you don't pay attention, that's on you.
I understand. I'm clarifying that for Monstrous, though, because I know Monstrous was the person who did it. I never once took credit for that.
The fact of what Laya was saying is that your willingness to be able to go do something should lend credence to the fact that you half-assed something, and that you're willing to half-ass something, which is exactly what you did. You half-assed something in this case, in Fursky's case.
And I half-assed something, and I understand that.
Yeah, but you know what,
What
Coyote?
else there's left to say.
The thing is, Coyote, I could understand that if you're like overwhelmed with a whole bunch of crap. Trust me, if anybody here's king of freaking being busy, you're talking to him. But you weren't. And here's the thing about due diligence, since we're speaking of it. Not only did Dai, your boyfriend, go in and make a mistake, which I understand you had nothing to do with, and you were very direct with him in the administration chat in your server that he should not have. Do you know that Dai is still friends with Zerkalo on Discord?
I didn't know that, no.
Well, now you do. Now you do know. Holy crap. You know, there's only so much I can excuse of being foolish or not thinking things through. There genuinely is. And you know, I tried to be a little softer on people, right? Because I get told that I come off too hard on people. Maybe I need to cut people some slack. Well, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't now. Cass has every right to be angry at you. And you can sit there and say mean things about SETI and pizza, and to a point, you're probably right in some cases. But no. You sit there on Twitter for the past week having mudslinging competitions with these people. But then
I'm
it comes...
not a fucking activist. I'm tired of people... Like, look, I understand that I botched a lot of this shit, but for the most part, it's because I've been trying to be something I'm fucking not, because I'm not a fucking activist. I'm someone who makes videos laughing at people on the internet.
Then stay in your fucking lane. No, stop. No, shut up. You had no business doing this fucking op. Why you decided to do it is anybody's fucking business. Why? Why would you? You knew it was retarded. You know you have no impulse control, and you fucking did it anyway. And then you drag a bunch of people in, and then we all got fucking dragged in. The people who aren't even in the server got fucking dragged in. We all got dragged in with your shit. All of us, especially Lyle, who has gone to bat for you so many fucking times. All of us. And I don't want you to sit here and go, well, I didn't know. Because it happens every fucking time. Every fucking time. Every time. This server got dragged into your shit for no fucking reason because you didn't think it through. You didn't think it through. Fucking think it through. Like you fucking should have from the very fucking beginning. You know better. And you did it anyway.
And let's go ahead and
There's no-
address. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
Let's go ahead and address the impulse thing. You know, I can understand having impulse control problems. You're talking to a toy collector. Of course, I know impulse control problems. But you know what the difference is? An impulse control is something that happens in a minute. Well, maybe not 1 minute, but it can go on for hours, perhaps. 2 months. You had impulse control problems for 2 months. You didn't at any point reflect and say, you know what? Actually, no, you did. You did reflect on how it would look bad on you. That's why you dev the logs. Because you knew Sappho could use it against you. Now, use it against you perhaps not in saying, well, Coyote clearly has a thing for me. Ha. But more so in the sense of, holy crap, this would look really bad if it got out. And it should not have taken me sending you a link to figure out how to recover those logs. You should have figured that out the moment people started calling you on it and you realized how bad it looked. That's what you should have done. And then... Go ahead.
I didn't know they even could be recovered after the redacted.
You didn't even look into it, Coyote!
Fair enough. Fine.
And then, let's go ahead and trace this back. Let's go all the way back. I can't talk about Bloomier because I don't know everything about that clown either. All I know is this. If somebody in your circle has heavy accusations against them, in your circle, and Bloomier was, you have an obligation, to yourself if nobody else, to look into it. I tried to do that to you for Zacalo. The thread was a complete mess, so unfortunately I couldn't do it as well as I wanted to. So I tried to have that call. And Zacalo sidestepped everything I said. Sidestepped all that nonsense. Sidestepped talking about it. Sidestepped talking about what they'd done, why the farm's thread existed, all of that. And it got to the point where all they did was make stupid little inside jokes, asinine statements, and what do? You defend them. And not only do you defend them, you go comfort them when I trigger them. And I'm not using that sarcastically, I mean that literally. And then you don't even look into it further. You don't think, the way this person's acting is kind of suspicious. I told you after that call, I don't trust Zacalo. There's something wrong with this person.
Of course I thought it was suspicious. That's why I didn't delete the fucking recording, even though, what they had clearly exhibited something, whether it was manipulation or not, it seemed like they were having some kind of traumatic response, but I didn't delete the fucking recall because I was suspicious.
I have a question, actually, about the Zacalo thing. If you found it fucking suspicious when you were recording that, then why did it take you until Zacalo fucked you over personally to actually look into it? Is it because you got triggered and your feelings got hurt, so that's why you had to look into Zacalo and you didn't when you actually had probably more of an obligation because you were closer with him and actually had something that you could actually get?
No, Rosie, the reason why I didn't look into it until after me and Zacalo were not friends, which mind you happened in the middle of the summer, is because I didn't see any clear and present proof.
You just said that you were suspicious of him.
Let me finish. I was suspicious, but a suspicion is not necessarily proof of guilt. What I saw was proof of predation when they started dating somebody that they met when they were a minor. That is proof of predation, and I told everybody, if there is proof of predation, I will be one of the first people to fucking go after them. I made good on that fucking promise.
No, you didn't!
It was not a person. Yes, I did. How did I not? There was proof of predation that got publicly posted, and once I saw that, undeniable proof, that's when I went after them.
Because, Coyote, you didn't firstly go after them. You went after them after you redacted your conversation with Zacalo, and to a point I can understand why, because you were worried Zacalo was going to use some things you had told them in confidence against you. And they did, of course. But you weren't the first one out there. Your video was one of the last.
Hold on. I didn't say I would be the very first one. I said I would be one of the first one to burn them down. And if you actually look at the timeline of when the videos came out, yeah, I was one of the first people to actually come out and talk about it. I sent that video, the recording that I sent you, Peaches, I sent it also to fucking Lonza. I also talked to Lonza and admitted every single fucking thing that happened along the way. Even he could tell you how much I accepted. I got fucking played in that situation. Just because my video was not the first one that came out doesn't mean I wasn't trying to do everything in my fucking power to help.
What I'm saying is that it looks fucking suspicious on your end that you wait until he fucks you over personally to look into it.
I didn't wait until he fucked me over personally. That's the thing. He fucked me over in August. The point where I was now actively going after him is fucking whenever he fucking got accused of that fucking that orbiting the 17-year-old, that was like months later. That was months later.
Coyote, the point is, this person has had so much suspicious crap, even stuff you've told me about, that you were having trouble with them because you don't understand why they're not ending their op on zoo files, why they're not handing you actual information that you could have used to deal with somebody else. You didn't drop them until they made you a mention on Zacarlo's suicide note. That's when you dropped them. And I, stupidly, gave you the benefit of the doubt. You should have dropped them well before that. Holy crap.
And you also mentioned on that stream that you told Lio about the fucking op when you told him near the end of it and he told you to drop it. You didn't say that part.
I didn't remember that part. I would have said it if I remembered.
So you literally went on stream and just said, yeah, I told Lio about the op. You didn't say the fact that you told him near the end and he told you to fucking drop it. You just told everyone, I told him.
Let me just remember shit that I clearly don't have in front of me. I was caught off guard by the question and I mentioned, yeah, just like I told you, Pizza. Yeah, just like I told Rodeo over there. Yeah, just like I told Alex. Mind you, I told all of these people at different times. All of them got different amounts of information. All of them said different things back. But it doesn't change the fact that all I said was what I had off the top of my fucking head, which was the truth. These are the 4 people that I told.
You had a week, and all you did was just flop your dick around on Twitter saying about how you're going to go onto it, but you didn't actually look into everything you were going to talk to, actually plan what you were going to say.
They didn't fucking tell me what the fuck is going to be brought up.
They don't have to tell you the questions, but you know exactly what they're going to ask about. Holy shit. Can you not look at the fucking Kiwi Farms thread? Oh, I wonder what they're going to ask me about.
No, I didn't look at it. I haven't looked at the fucking thread.
Maybe you should have done before first going on Twitter and say, oh, I'm going to prove everyone wrong, and then going onto a stream fucking nearly an hour late, and then just stumbling in fucking Kai Weiss style, not knowing anything.
Okay, I understand. I've made a lot of fucking mistakes.
It's the fact that you are so fucking apathetic about it, and then when I message you saying that you fucked Lio over, you're like, how did I do that? What? How do you fucking think it happened?
I just didn't understand why my actions would reflect on... Look, I understand what you're saying now, but personally, I just didn't understand at the time how my actions would even remotely reflect on this server when it has no connection to what I do on my channel.
Well, I'm personally disgusted because I know that Lio's going to want to say more and I'm going to shut up out of this. But I'm disgusted out of everything that I heard that you did the same thing that a load of people said to me, which is because I don't personally like you as a victim. You matter less and your thing's a fucking joke. What a cool, classy person you are, you stupid bit.
How in the world do you sit there and tell me you didn't know? Because you've seen.
Why would it? No, hold on. Why? Because why would it? Why would that be one of the first things that occurs to me? Where it's just, I'm somebody who does his own fucking thing. So why is this somehow going to be reflecting on a server that isn't even a fucking YouTube server?
Oh my god.
Because
you don't understand how those two things connect.
Okay. Because you've seen it happen before.
Seen what happened before? Like
you've seen other people's decisions being put on me before, and you yourself have watched other people get pulled into the ringer for the decisions of other people. In fact, you addressed it on Cass's stream. You told people not to do that, so you know fundamentally that happens.
I told them not to do that because apparently people were blaming you, and I was DM'd about that. I don't know if it was by you or by Rosie, but I know somebody DM'd me about that, and I think that's fucking wrong because it's not your fucking fault or this server's fault, and anyone who's saying it is a fucking retard.
No. I'm talking about the people tearing into Cass because of Cass's server members, just in general. You know that affects. You know that can pull out. You know what? You know what? Let's go ahead and use a better example. Okay? Let's use a better example. You've seen people, and I know you have because we discussed it, try to come at me because of Joshua Vita's actions, and I was in a server with him when he was doing all this dirtbag garbage.
Yeah, and those people are retarded.
Coyote, you can say perhaps on an individual level that they might be. Might be. But my point is, you know it happens. That's my point.
I'm sorry that it wasn't the first fucking thing that crossed my mind.
Coyote, whenever I do something, hate to tell you this, whenever I do something, especially when it comes to higher level stuff, I absolutely think about how it affects other people, especially my family. 100% my family before everybody else. But then I think about how it affects the people around me. The fact that I'm one of the few people, I suppose, that has that level of three-dimension thinking is goofy to begin with. But also, Coyote, in this call, to my knowledge, with the exception of Kier, and maybe Busy, you're the closest person to my age. You're in your 30s. How have you not developed that level of thought process yet?
How have I not developed a level of thought process where I think, gee, I wonder how my actions on the internet are going to affect a random Discord server? Oh yeah, I wonder why.
A random
You
Discord
literally,
server.
you literally said in
so
you.
Go ahead,
You literally said
You-
in the fucking stream that you told Lio about the art.
Thank you for repeating things we already know,
a random
Rosie.
Discord
Coyote,
server.
Coyote, you've been on live streams with people in this server multiple times. That's how you're linked to this server. You're an admin in here.
Okay, I just don't understand why the first reaction anyone's gonna fucking have is, oh, Senate conspiracy. That makes no sense.
Coyote,
Because you're part of the fucking server. Oh my fucking god.
Yeah, I'm part
Coyote-
of fucking 50 servers. It doesn't make it...
enough!
Lustrous, I've been part of 50 fucking servers. It doesn't suddenly make it a conspiracy for all fucking 50.
No, but you're an administrator here, and you and I are closely tied together, because I hate to tell you this, Coyote, we've been friends for 4 years! I've worked with you on things! I've been on your channel, you've been on mine! We have been in the frickin' trenches for each other, Coyote! That's why! And not only do you pull this stupid crap without even checking with me until you've done it, but now you're saying, well, why should I think about that? Why should that be a thought process? Because when you care about people, you think about how your actions affect them. But you're right, it's just a random Discord server. LOL, nothing on the internet affects real life, despite the fact that you and I both have dealt with people who have been groomed on the freaking internet and reported them and exposed them and tried to get the victims doggone justice. That's not gonna fly here, Coyote! It's not gonna fly. You don't get to downplay that anymore.
And the fact that you're so lackadaisical about it, the fact that you're so devil may care about it, that is what pisses us off the most. Out of everything here, at least, I'm sorry, I shouldn't speak for everybody. That is what pisses me off the most. You do not give a single flying fuck, and it shows exactly in this call. Well, why should it matter? Why should it matter? It doesn't fucking matter why it should matter. It fucking does. It does, and you don't care.
It's not that I don't care, it's that I don't understand.
It doesn't
I
matter whether
don't
you understand it. It matters.
Coyote.
It matters. The optics matter. And the fact that you didn't think about it. The fact that you don't. The fact that at no point did you sit there and go, well, gee, what are the fucking optics of this for Lio? What is the fucking optics for this for Senate? You had at no point did you have fucking three-dimensional thinking. You only thought for yourself. Well, gee, what is this gonna fucking do for me? Not a single fucking thought for anybody else crossed your fucking head. Not a one.
Multiple times.
And I am appalled at that level of behavior. Because again, like Lio said, how many times has he fucking gone to bat for you? How many times have I gone to bat for you? How many times has anyone else in this fucking server gone to fucking bat for you? We stuck our fucking necks out for you, and this is what you fucking did. How fucking grateful are you? I'm sorry for cutting you off.
And then, well, I didn't... You know, I'm not going to go into details about it, but Rosie and I had a really bad argument earlier this week. Really bad one. Because I said some things I shouldn't have. Flatly shouldn't have. And it's 100% my fault. Mine! But when I was contrite about it and we had a conversation, I never once told her it was her fault. I never once told her, well, I never had to think about that. I said, you know what? I should have thought about that. I should have considered XYZ thing. You are 100% correct. Because how I talk affects the people around me, especially the people I care about. What I do also does. What I say, how I act, what I do to interact with other people isn't, and perhaps this is a difference in how we were raised. Because I was taught at a very young age, how you operate, how you act, reflects on the people who raised you and what they allow. That's always in my mind. Not because I need to honor my parents in that way specifically, I clearly do, but because it's a basic concept. Nobody exists in a bubble. Nobody exists in a vacuum where their actions don't affect other people or don't have an impact. You know that instinctively because you've dealt with predator victims and you've dealt with predators. You know that. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm going to buy that you don't. I'm sorry, Coyote, but I'm not. There are times I've been impulsive too. Lord knows I've said and done some stupid crap. But never on the level you have. You're never going to find me intentionally sitting in some room filled with a bunch of genuine sickos and handing other sickos to them. Because again...
Hold on, I was never in a fucking room with a bunch of them.
Oh, I apologize. My mistake then. Let's take your word for it in this case that I don't have actual evidence saying otherwise. I apologize.
No, I want to see that. I want to see that because I was never, to the
Coyote.
best of my fucking awareness, in one of those rooms.
Coyote, I just apologize for it. I misspoke.
I'm sorry. Look, I'm frustrated because that claim is pissing me off because that is not the truth. I know for a fucking fact that's not the truth.
Okay.
I'm tired of people saying that it is.
Let's go ahead and remove that then, because I'm very possibly wrong on that because I don't have everything in front of me. And the DMs I was sent didn't have all of that in front of me because I don't know how Telegram works. But room or DMs, it doesn't matter. You sat there and fed sickos to sickos. I hate to say it again, you can't cast Satan out with Satan. And this is the biggest problem I have dealing with furries who hunt zoophiles. Sometimes I wonder how much of it's troll shielding to make them seem less weird. And that's my hot take that's probably going to come back to bite me that I recognize, but my point still stands. You cannot sit here and say, I'm going to work with this zoophile because he's not offending to go after this zoo sadist or to pass it on to them. What in the name of God type of logic is that? Would you do that with maps versus offending pedophiles, Coyote?
Sorry, I'm getting a lot of people yelling at me in DMs right now. I'm trying to pay attention, I really am, but my attention's divided between you yelling at me in VC and the DMs. Do you mind repeating that, if you don't mind?
Coyote, would you in any possible manner ever consider handing an offending pedophile off to the hands of a map that hasn't?
No, that would be stupid.
Then why would you do it there? Because this, unlike other comparisons you heard in that stream, perhaps, by your value, this is a one-to-one.
I don't know. It was a dumb decision.
And here's where I'm going to get a little more irritated. Coyote, you're in a call with me right now, and the rest of the people who have been affected by your actions. You can ignore the DMs right now. I need your attention here.
I am ignoring them now.
Thank you.
I'm here.
Because you know what? This sucks, Coyote. This sucks. It doesn't just suck because, well, I've known Coyote for a while. It's because you were my friend, Coyote. I've been there for you. Heck, at the beginning of the year, or before the beginning of the year, you passed me on a certain case because you said you needed time off. And I took it. Thankfully, nothing needed to be done there. But you made it very clear that when you're overwhelmed, you can hand things off. But then you say in that call, well, if I had to choose between somebody who didn't have help and somebody who did, so I went with the person who didn't. Really? And here I am again because I wanted to stop doing this. And I told Cass, hey, can I hand some stuff off to you? Now I can't because now Cass doesn't trust me because of your actions. So anybody I'm working with right now that I could have handed my case off to him about, I can't because Cass is going to be suspicious of it to begin with. So they might not get now get any sort of justice as meager as we can possibly provide it. And now I can't take that time off. I can't leave this immediately like I need to for my health. But it's okay. You didn't think about it. There's a lot of times I don't... Go ahead.
Go ahead, finish your thing first.
There's a lot of times I choose not to get involved with certain things because I know how it's going to affect other people. Even if I have a conviction about it in the terms of this is something I really believe in. I think sometimes, what's the fallout going to be if I do this? Because, Coyote, I already have maniacs, like truly unhinged people, who spin conspiracy about me that I will make fun of because they are dumb. But I also think about how that can affect other people around me. Because clearly I thought we were both understanding we're dealing with genuinely evil and deranged people who do not operate under any civil moral value ever given. Apparently I'm the only person who actually understood that intrinsically. You didn't. Because you'll work with them. You'll work with them. Does anybody else have anything to say to Coyote?
I wanted to know how many other people have you said you'd help and then didn't? Because I know you've done it at least one more time, at least not with predator stuff, but you said you'd help me when I was on the verge of suicidal ideation. You'd said you'd help, and then you fucked off because creep show art scares you. So, has there been
It wasn't
anyone
just
else?
Creepshow. And no, there wasn't anyone else.
What-
I was scared because it was a lot of people, not just. And I understand that you were scared too, and that was wrong of me, and I admitted and I apologized. That was an act of fucking cowardice, and I'm sorry. Okay, I don't.
Yeah,
It's a
but you're
cowardly thing.
saying, yeah, but you cared about optics on that to the point where you said you'd helped and then didn't even have the decency to say that you wouldn't help me anymore. You just fucked off until I left the platform, and then you were like, "Lol, yeah, sorry, I'm scared of creep show art, lol," and then But at the same time, no, shut up. But then at the same time, you don't think about the optics, about fucking around with Zaffo, Sakolo, or anything like that. So clearly, you just go with whatever gets you, like whatever gets you more excited in the moment. What's more interesting to you? Because
That's not true. And the reason I reached out to you privately is because Manga Common was talking to me about how things were going in your personal life, and I was scared for my friend because I didn't know you at the time. I knew him, I didn't know you. So I reached out to you to try to help simply because Manga Common right now was also stressed when you were dealing with that, and I wanted to try to help my friend at the time. Okay? And honestly, you're right. I should have fucking done something publicly like I said I would. The reason I didn't though is because it was terrifying. There were hundreds of thousands of people, and I get it. It was terrifying for you too. But the way it looked for me is that if I say a fucking word about this, there's hundreds of thousands of fucking people jumping down my throat too. I don't know if I can handle that. I never handled that before. So yes, you're right. It was cowardly, and I'm sorry.
yeah, but you do
That's
realize
not a
that even
consideration
in
of.
that
I'm
you do
sorry. I
realize.
just want to finish. It's not a consideration of the object. It's being terrified of a fucking mob that I don't know.
Okay, well, did you even consider the optics that Lyle was also brought in for you, and I thought Lyle was an absolute pussy and a bastard for about a year too?
And the reason why I wasn't able to follow up on it is because I had health issues at the time. And I still
You
have them,
didn't tell me
actually.
that.
I still
You
have
tell me
them.
that instead. You just came up with tail between your legs like months after it ended and said, "Lol, whoops, I was scared of Creepshow art." So if you couldn't even do something like that, I wonder how many times that
No, hold on.
someone
You
with
didn't.
even worse situations came to you and you said you'd help and then you just didn't, but didn't even tell them that you weren't going to help them. You just fucked off. That's why I'm asking, because you started shouting at Fursky, saying that, well, even in this call, you said you didn't need to choose between them, you just chose to, and then I'm sat here who you also said you'd help, but then never actually helped and never bothered to even tell me you wouldn't. So now I want to know how many other people you say you gotta help, but then don't.
There was no more than those two. So
Well, I don't believe you.
okay, great. Anyway, has everyone said their piece, or do you want to keep yelling at me? So.
I want to follow up on that real quick. Just real quick.
Hold on, I do want to mention right now, if you're going to bring up the quirk is thing, I talked to you about that first, so that way to make sure that there was something else going on.
No, I'm not bringing
Make
up the
sure
quirk
that
is.
there was.
I'm not bringing up that.
Okay.
You see, when Rosie told me that that's what happened, for why you didn't follow through, I thought, first of all, I wanted to see the message. 'Cause I didn't think that could be right. I couldn't think it. Genuinely didn't think it. And then I saw it, I'm like, well, maybe Coyote was worried that perhaps people would see him as a less legitimate source for his predator hunting, and he wanted to avoid that situation because he wants to get victims some justice. That I could understand. Up until right now, I did not understand or believe that it could be genuine cowardice. Coyote, the way the internet works, especially on YouTube, is it doesn't matter. Because you could have mobs turn against you for everything, because they literally did it to Peaches over a comment and a claim that she's a bad friend. Thousands of people turning on her, telling her she was faking her grooming. A whole slew of other horrendous crap. She went through it. Somebody who's younger. Somebody with a lot of mental health issues. But you, somebody almost in their 30s at the time, you were scared of it?
Yeah. Go ahead and laugh. I was scared.
I'm not gonna laugh. I don't find it funny. I don't find it amusing. I don't find any of this.
Pathetic, I understand. It's fucking pathetic. But that's the truth. There you go.
Coyote, I'm angry. Because I can't stand that level of weakness. There's two things I will never tolerate outside of the obvious moral stuff. Cowards and liars.
And you did both.
What did I lie about in that situation?
They
Okay, you know what? No, we've answered that one already.
If you're so worried about internet mobs, get off the internet. Frankly, I think you should do it to begin with. Go, get off the internet, tell your boyfriend to get off the internet, because your boyfriend's still connected with weirdos too, apparently, and can't control his actions. Get a job and live your doggone life in real world stuff. Because on one hand, you're worried about internet mobs. On the other hand, you don't know how something would affect some random Discord server. So you have some inconsistent values in that. That's what I think you need to do. Does anybody else have any words for Coyote?
No, I'm good.
How about the rest of you that have been sitting here muted the whole time? Sure would let have some little bit of backup on this for once. It would sure be nice.
It is 5 in the morning, and quite frankly, I just agree with what's been stated, and I don't think I've been here long enough to have anything new to say. I'm still getting caught up in a lot of things, so I'm sorry for not really speaking on this.
How about you, Kier? You got anything to say?
It was pretty selfish, man. That's literally it.
Oh, actually, the fact that you didn't vet the people that you were using for this fucking shitty little gay op, that I'm fucking absolutely astounded by. Like, talk about not thinking. You didn't vet? You didn't vet? What the fuck is wrong with you? You fucking know better than that. I'm astounded.
Clearly
I'm astounded. I'm
Clearly I
appalled.
fucking don't.
Like, clearly it doesn't even begin. Like, what were you thinking? Like, I mean, obviously you were, but what were you thinking? Like, I'm just gonna use this random person who has a history, by the way, of being emotionally unstable. Like, everything else aside with Alex, you knew Alex was emotionally unstable. You watched the fucking meltdown in the server. We talked about it in a call. We talked about it, and you still used Alex. Like, how fucking retarded do you need to be? I'm appalled at you. Like, I'm appalled. Absolutely astounded and appalled. I'm done. I'm done.
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, all I really have to add is like has pretty much already been stated, but I just see it as cowardly, pathetic, and I'm not really that surprised. I just at the end of the day, I don't really want anything to do with it anymore.
Go ahead, Peaches.
I was just gonna ask, like, how were you able to help people, like, doing predator stuff if you had the same belief that if you dislike them is somehow less?
I don't have that fucking belief. I was angry and I was yelling at somebody who was pissing me off. I don't have that fucking belief. I was pissed. Okay? I fell into obvious bait, and they used it to make me look even worse because I let them.
I don't think they baited you, Coyote.
They didn't bait you. You said it all on your own.
Said
And-
what? I don't I don't fucking remember saying that she was less somehow. I remember saying that I picked the other victim who had no support. And
Okay, so if I could, I think rather than quoting you directly and saying that one person's less of a victim, I think what's being said here is that you implied it. That it was
No, he
implied.
said.
No?
No, first he
He's
literally said that, oh, so I'm lesser, and you said, yes, in this instance you are.
No, what I meant by that was not that she's lesser as a victim. What I meant by that is that she's less of the priority. My priority is to the person with no support.
You didn't have to make that priority decision. You could have handled both.
Yeah, you literally said in this call that you didn't need to. And I've heard enough people say stuff to me that just because they dislike me that I'm no longer a victim or less of one. And it's just really disgusting that someone that was supposed
I did
to
not say
help-
she wasn't a fucking victim. Stop fucking putting those words in my mouth because I didn't fucking say them.
Did I say that, or did I say
No,
that
you
people
did.
changed
You
their
just said
opinion
them.
just because of it?
You just said that that's what I said.
No, I said that's what people have said to me. So I've already had to deal with people saying that kind of stuff. So it upsets me when you're going around saying that someone's lesser. Because I wasn't upset on this situation because I had some kind of state with you. I've been civil with you, but again, I already knew you were a snake from the beginning. But I'm upset that Elio's upset, and I'm upset that you didn't think about anything from his end. As I said to him before the stream even started that he shouldn't go on that stream. Like, he did eventually, and things were fine, I guess. But, like, I said to him that he didn't have to do anything to defend you because you stabbed him in the back so many ways by just
I didn't ask him to
not
go on the
telling
stream.
anything. I didn't say that you did.
I don't even know why he did to begin with.
Initially, Laya was feeling bad because you're his friend. That's what friends do. They feel bad and want to stick up for each other.
I understand that, but
And I had to just put it bluntly that you went behind his back on so many things. You didn't tell him about the Sappho stuff. You ignored him about the Sakalo stuff. And you didn't tell us anything about what was going on.
Yeah, that's one thing that I've been sitting here wondering this whole fucking time was not only did I don't see why you had to do this big gay op, this stupid gay op in the first place. I don't get it. What more do we need on Sappho at this point? It doesn't make any fucking sense.
I didn't think about it. All I thought about was this was a possibility to get information. I don't know what information I could have gotten going in. I've said
maybe-
that. I've said that going in, I didn't know if anything would even come of it. That's
So I'm sorry, go ahead.
like I've stated that I know this was a bad now in hindsight I know it was a bad decision. It was one that was impulsive. I didn't know if anything would come from it, and that should have been the first sign maybe you don't fucking do this. And there was all sorts of red flags along the way that I didn't stop and cut myself out of that situation when I should have. I chose not to. I don't know why I did it, except for the fact that I was so caught up in maybe I can get something, and then now we're here. I don't know what else to say to that point except that I breached the victim's trust. I breached all of your trust, clearly. I've fucking made a really bad fucking mistake, and now on stream I made a jackass of myself, and now it's reflected badly on you and everyone associated with me. I understand these things. And I'm sorry, but that doesn't change that. And I don't know what to say anymore.
Coyote, I cannot sit here and accept how you acted on that stream for two reasons. Number one, I was put in the hot seat on the stream and I did just fine. Number two, you knew it was coming. We talked about it. I told you needed to cancel your dinner plans. You could have had all day to prepare. Heck, you've had all week to prepare. You should have been mentally ready for this. But you treated it like it was nothing. Like they're just a bunch of stupid clowns. Haha, let me make fun of them on Twitter. Hate to tell you this, Coyote, but even if they might be stupid, assuming they are, sometimes you still gotta answer for nonsense. And when you sit here and tell me that you know you done screwed up, telling them they're stupid isn't a counter.
I had already fucking told everybody on Twitter the things that I'd done wrong in that regard. I don't understand what more I was supposed to do at that point. That's why I didn't understand what the fuck I was answering for on the stream.
That means, okay, what did they say was going to happen in the stream? Because Cass told everybody what was going to happen in the stream.
I guess go over my kiwi farms.
Go over your kiwi farms. So here's the truth of the matter, Coyote. If Cass is going over your kiwi farms, what should you probably go look at?
My Kiwi Farms thread.
So you know that. It's basic studying for a test. We're covering information on the Civil War. You should probably go study the textbook that they're going over on the Civil War. You treated it flippantly, like it was nothing. Despite all these people having words with you, despite some of this stuff looking suspicious to everybody else, you treated it like it was nothing. Like it was nothing. You can sit there and you can say some things about some of the people on Cass's server, maybe. Just like you could say things about some of the people in this server. But when Cass offers you the opportunity to talk about it, when you agree, you knew it was being discussed. You knew what time it was. And not only did you ignore the main part, apparently, about the Kiwi Farms. Granted, they didn't get too far into it. But then you go on about how, well, I now got to have dinner with people, which, you know, I get it. I've had relatives pop in and say they want to have dinner too, but if I'm in the middle of something important, which for some reason you didn't seem to think was important because it's just internet stuff, right? You still bought into it, and you still said, well, I'm going to go ahead and bail on screen, because you didn't think of how that's going to look either. So when do you think, Coyote?
Not often.
Clearly.
Not as I should.
Clearly. Because at that point, you knew people were coming to me about your nonsense. And you knew people were trying to hold me accountable for you. Because we talked Wednesday. While I was...
If they were trying... Hold on. I didn't know if they were trying to hold you accountable or if they were trying to convince you to investigate me. That's why I asked you earlier, are you investigating me?
No, because I already investigated what little they had shown me at the time. And we talked about it. I wanted to talk to you about it today. I wanted to talk to you about it after the stream when all this other stuff came out so I could deal with you once and only once. And I told people why. There's one reason why I haven't been all that active in Senate at all lately is because I've been trying to keep my blood pressure down so I could pass the physical I needed to be on. Which thankfully I did last night at 9 o'clock. Because I have a life outside of the internet and I need to provide for my family. But clearly I can't even do that. Clearly, I have to address everything immediately when it happens. So I guess going forward, that's what I'm going to do. This is asinine. You spent an entire week dunking on people on Twitter without taking any of it seriously at all. So yeah, I can understand why they'd tell you you're a pussy if not showing up. Or question the validity of whether you had family coming over. Yeah, I can understand that. Because you know what? You've given people plenty of grief for similar things. You said flatly if certain people don't appear on your streams when you've invited them to, and they've confirmed and then back out, well, they're pussies.
I don't do streams.
You have before, Coyote.
Okay.
Or 2 interviews or whatever.
I understand. Okay, I understand your point.
Because you wouldn't have... If this had happened with Cord, oh, you would have had field day. You'd be getting all sorts of validation on Twitter about it. And you know, I really don't care overall about the goofy Twitter fights because sometimes they can be amusing. But this is your reputation. These are your actions. This is what you've done and what you dragged other people into by lies of omission. Because you just can't think that something like that can happen. Because it's just some goofy little random internet server, right? So now we're here.
Do you want to skip to the part where you throw me out of the server already? Because we're going in circles.
Coyote, I have known you for almost 5 years. I have worked with you quite a bit. I put a lot of trust in you. But it clearly wasn't reciprocated. Not to a full extent. And it sucks that this had to happen, and it sucks more you didn't take any of it seriously until you had to get on stream, until you had to be in call with me. I genuinely hate to say it. I do. Because all things considered, Coyote, I liked you. Because you were fun to have around. The banter. Whatever. But that doesn't excuse any of it, and I'm not going to have somebody in my life that does that. So here's what's going to happen. Anybody in my family that's on your friends list, I want gone. And I don't just mean removed. I want you to block them. And then I'm going to remove you from this server. And I'm going to make sure I'm out of every single server that you're either running or whatever. I'm going to remove you from my personal server, too. I want you to go live an actual life instead of being some furry that talks about his degeneracy out in the public in terms of what his fetishes are, and apparently has no problem taking a zoosadist and throwing him to a zoophile because they want to prove they're one of the good ones. This is a consistent lack of thought process that I would expect from any adult. And if anybody else here was pulling a stunt, they get the same doggone treatment. Because I didn't know about any of that till today. This is my due diligence. This is accountability. You are dismissed.
Hold on.
And I better not see any of the rest of you fraternizing with him, or you're gone immediately. Immediately. I'm not tolerating this anymore. If I find out any of the rest of you into anything sus, I'm removing you as well. I'm so doggone tired of this nonsense. And there you go. Coyote admitting fraternizing with zoophiles as well as not treating victims properly. This is not excusable and will not be tolerated. If you're going to be in this field, you have to care about the people you're helping. And just as importantly, you have to operate ethically. You don't make deals with scum, and you certainly don't expect scumbags to take out other scumbags by your direction. I did a stream over 2 years ago when Anthony did something unethical, so Coyote isn't going to be handled any differently, save that this is an edited video instead of a stream. If you're wondering why there's a lack of screenshots concerning Coyote's Twitter nonsense, it's because he nuked his Twitter after this. I covered everything I personally knew about that was extremely condemning in the call, and Coyote has been removed from my servers, and I'll be sweeping the rest of my social medias to make sure he's not there either. If you can't stay ethical, you don't need to be doing this. Clout doesn't matter. Views matter only in the sense of awareness, and you have to do this for the right reason. This type of work is physically and emotionally exhausting, and if you can't handle it, stay out. This is my accountability and due diligence. I'll put out a call with Smash tomorrow and then go back to doing what I want on the channel. Coyote can stay gone, and I hope this is a lesson to everyone to look at your friends harder when they show a pattern of behavior.